Hey there, friends. It's good to be back again with you this week to share with you a little bit out of at least my perspective of God's Word and what it can mean for us and our lives. Let me start this way. I think that you would all agree that we live in a competitive culture. Competition seems to drive most everything we do. We are raised in this country to play to win. Second place is for losers. Playing for participation trophies, what's the point? Competition weaves its way into pretty much everything we do, whether it's for jobs or houses, our sports teams, our kids, their education. I mean, it amazes me that there are parents now who, when their kids are 2 years old, are competing for spaces in the right kind of preschool so they can get in the right kind of secondary schools so that they can get advanced placement in the right kind of universities so they can get ahead in life so that they can succeed. And ultimately it is about not just about succeeding, but being able to compete in the market to be able to have everything that you want. It's ingrained in us, for better or worse, to push to be the best. Everything is competing for the top priority in our lives. Geez, even churches are silently competing to be the best and the biggest on the block. It's how we think. It's in our blood. And I think the biggest problem with this is that it has created the filter through which we see our spiritual life also. At least think with me for just a few minutes today. We are taught that our spiritual life needs to be our top priority. God is to be first. Our family is to be second. Our job is to be third. Now, to be honest, we get that inverted or screwed up all the time. But that is what we're told our life needs to be. I've heard so many say that, this phrase, I need to start putting God first in every part of my life. Well, here's some news. God does not want to be first place in your life. Jesus doesn't want to wear the competitor's wreath and be crowned with the gold medallion of first place. Look at this. We have all seen some version of this pie chart in our lives, how we divide up our lives into slices that are competing for the priority in our life, as if the most time spent is the best time spent, and at least being able to put everything into this pie, slice it up properly. I used to do this. You used to do this. Family, friends, work, hobbies, health, home, church, kids, spiritual life, educational life, whatever life. All of them slices of the pie. We have been raised to see, though, because of this pie chart, I think, this pie chart mentality at least, that the spiritual dimension of our life is merely a component, a slice of our life. It's something that we have to give time to, in addition to all the other slices that are competing for our precious time and energy. We are told that God is to be first place. We try to make God first place. We even feel guilty when our spiritual life is not getting more than a sliver of our time. And I think that it becomes like this never-ending competition for the time in our schedule to be able to have a slice of the pie. But here's the problem. This whole line of thinking assumes that our life can actually be divided into compartments, with Jesus, or our spiritual life, being one of those compartments. But compartmentalization is not how spiritual works. It's not how a life with Jesus is designed. God isn't supposed to be competing with other stuff in our lives for like the pole position, the crown, the end prize. You aren't supposed to be struggling daily to make Jesus the or even a priority in your life. He is to be all of your life. He is to be all of my life. And anything short of that is missing the point. What's more important? Breathing? Circulation? Heartbeat? That's a ridiculous way to think. Our heart and everything that surrounds it is an entire entity. It's supposed to work in concert with the rest of our body. And unless we're talking about, our little toe or something like that, we can't prioritize the things in our body that are most important. They are all important. They all work together when there is life in our body. It's the normal state of things. And the same is true in the spiritual dimension of life. The Apostle Paul, at a point in his life, was in prison. He was facing death. After years of trials and difficulties living out his faith, after his conversion to Jesus, after he had literally seen the light and saw Jesus for who he truly was. And as he grew older, like all of us should, he wanted to finish his life strong and courageous, unashamed of his faith. And in this spot, while he was an older man in prison, he wrote some words that are penetrating. I never grow old reading them. They never grow old as I read them, as I grow old. In his letter to the Philippians that he penned from jail, in the first chapter, we read in verse 20 these words: I eagerly expect and hope that I will in no way be ashamed, but will have sufficient courage, so that now, as always, Christ will be exalted in my body, whether by life or by death. It was his life desire for Jesus to be exalted. That word exalted means lifted up, made known, honored. And he said that his greatest desire was that Christ would be exalted in his body, whether it was in life or in death. And then he writes these amazing words in the next verse: For me to live is Christ, to die is gain. Let me tell you this today. As a follower of Jesus, as a believer in his life, his ways, his word, his presence, I want to tell you there is no life apart from Jesus. No part of that relationship that we have with him is separate from the other. Jesus is not to have a place in our lives. He is the center. He is the core of everything in life and even in death. So, saying we want him to be number one in our life, yeah, it sounds great. It sounds very American. But it misses the whole point of our union with him. Jesus is not another slice of the pie. He is not even to be the biggest, the best. He is not to be the ice cream on top of the slice of the pie. Get this. He is the pie. He is the whole thing. He is the stuff of every slice of the pie. He is the substance of our lives. Having Jesus in our lives doesn't make everything better. He is the substance and the boundary of everything we do, of everything we are. There isn't to be a spiritual category in the pie chart of my day-to-day. His life in my life, which is the promise. His life in mine defines and shapes every decision, every choice, every action, every movement I make in every area, in every slice of my life. And honestly, time spent cultivating spiritual depth. This thing we have said our whole lives, that we need to make time for prayer and make time for Bible study and make time for meditation and make time for church, make time for spiritual activities in our life. Time spent cultivating spiritual depth doesn't compete with our time at work or at home. At least it's not supposed to. Time spent cultivating spiritual depth informs and defines the breadth and depth and purpose of all of those areas in our life. Our spiritual life is not competing in a contest. Jesus doesn't want to be first place in our lives. He is our life. All our life. I want to ask you, can you remember today? Can you start right now in this moment and let it weave its way through every moment, every action, every interaction, every decision, every choice that we make from this moment on? Can we remember today as we eat the bread, drink the cup of Christ's sacrifice on the cross? Can we say, with the Apostle Paul, for me to live is everything, and to die is to have even more of the same in all of my life. Till next time, see ya.
Who am I that the highest King would welcome me? I was lost, but he brought me in. Oh,